Accrediting Excellence, the international authority for professional coaching and mentoring, proudly presents Both Sides of the Coin.
Do you work with clients who feel unseen, stuck, or are no longer advancing at work? How, as coaches, can we help them take positive steps career-wise? Today, we get some top tips. Welcome to Both Sides of the Coin, a podcast produced by the IAPC and M. We're a leading accreditation body, and our aim is to increase public confidence and to raise industry standards by enforcing a rigorous accreditation process that ensures the quality of professional coaches and mentors. The podcast is aptly named Both Sides of the Coin because we talk to both a coach or mentor and one of their clients to explore both sides of the coaching mentoring intervention, what works and what doesn't. As the proverb says, iron sharpens iron. Before we get started, let me introduce myself. I'm Jenny Butter, your host and an accredited master coach, and I've been coaching for 10 years, mainly in the area of career, transition and life coaching. Joining me today are Hulya Kurt and her client, Jane. Hulya is a career coach based in Geneva. She runs workshops with businesses, leads the Noble Manhattan coaching program in Switzerland, as well as works with people mid-career who feel unseen, stuck, or are no longer advancing. She works with these clients so they can get promoted or make a positive change career-wise. Her client, Jane, has been working for the same corporation for several years and wanted some coaching to help her find a new role and direction. I'm going to start with Hulya and flip over the coin and then speak with Jane. Hulya, tell me about yourself.
Thank you, Jenny. Yes, me, Hulya, origin Turkish, grew up in Germany, and then moved again back to Istanbul as I was 18 during teenager ages. And I started my career in Istanbul, really low, starting from sales secretary and then advancing in a multinational company, which was Reuters, with different occupations, different positions. And then in 2005, I got the job offer to move to Geneva, Switzerland with my family, which I did. Again, occupying many global roles. And just before the pandemic, I was made redundant. And I thought, you know what? You do lots of stuff for your employees. You do facilitate workshops. People are coming to you. I was acting as a mentor back then as well. And I thought, I can do it myself, but I need to have as well a diploma. So I did my coaching diploma, started my own company, got my accreditation as well by the IAPCM. And here we are. As a coach, I'm acting and helping and assisting people, business professionals who started enthusiastically, but then after a while, don't feel happy anymore at their workplace. And we discover with them what would be their next career move. And that could be staying in the same company, moving different departments, trying to be promoted, or maybe completely changing the company or completely changing the pathway to become an entrepreneur. Every individual is different. So I'm really happy to do this. It really gives me huge reward to see people advancing, and each step counts here. So I'm happy to be a coach, acting as a coach, and I love what I'm doing.
So when you start with a client, tell me, what process do you take them through?
Absolutely. Of course, first, as we all do as coaches, we have an intake session. That means we meet each other, we greet each other, we see if we fit, because that's important, if what I'm delivering is according to what the expectation of the coachee, of my client is. Once we agree on a coaching journey, then what I do normally is about listening, and listening. Because that's the most important part, to understand where the client is coming from. What's the history? So it's actually not me talking. It's actually the client who talks. So that I understand the background, where they're coming from, how they even grew up. Also, family situation plays a huge role in each of the clients that I coached, because this is where our misbeliefs or our own perception comes from. And then the current situation, what they have done so far, to understand what actions have been taken so far, and then thinking about, okay, where do we stand now? Like fact-finding. It's like project management, shall I say. Like fact-finding. Where do we stand now? And what do you want to achieve? But it's interesting. Sometimes the client comes up with an idea, let's say, to say, hey, you know what? I want to advance. I want to have higher positions. I want to be on a director. However, once we are digging into a bit of values, a bit of strength, a bit about what's important for the client, this goal might change. And sometimes the client even discovers, oh, actually, you know what? This is not what I want. What I want is harmony at the workplace. And at the moment I'm working at, I'm not happy with the manager that I'm working with, or I don't like what I'm doing at the moment. I need to have more creativity. So the goal might change throughout the journey. That's why I always do check-ins about, okay, what do you feel about this? How does this resonate with your actual goal? But what I hear about, so challenging the client as well. And guess what? The client, him or herself, is discovering this even. I don't even need to do a lot. I'm just questioning and being curious and open-minded without any judgment.
Taking that a step further, if somebody comes to you really stuck, what powerful question might you ask just to help open their mind to different possibilities?
You know what I apply as well? It's not only coaching that I apply. So I apply as well a mix between of mentoring and coaching. Because each client comes up with a set of a mind which is sometimes closed, because that's why you're stuck. You can't see anymore. So I give lots of experiences and from my own work experience, right, from my own background, and also some path and some choices and some visions and some visuals about what could be possible. And the powerful questions do lie in that. What happens if you don't achieve that, for example? How would you feel about this? What would be the consequences? What would be the worst that can happen? What would be the ideal situation? How do you see yourself? How do you want to be perceived by others? For example, when you are at a retirement party. So you're retired. Let's envisage the scenario. You're retired and someone is speaking, giving a toast. What would you like that person say about you? Or even how you would like to be perceived by your family, by your friends. So it's not only work. We as human beings are complex, and each dimension has got a huge impact on the client and how they see their career or professional life. So these are some kind of examples that I use, a bit of visionary, a bit of breathing techniques to really come to yourself, and questions around what would you like not to regret have done.
Really superb questions and top tips there for us, Hulya. Have you got any other top tips for coaches who work in this area that you'd be happy to share with us?
No, absolutely. Thank you, Jenny. I mean, each coach is different, of course, and that's what makes us unique. I always would say it's important that we work on the mindset, because the mindset is really limiting us. And then giving as well practical tools about how they can advance. And practical tools meaning I've got a workbook that I always share with my clients. And they have something tangible which they can assess themselves, specifically also about who can help them. Because sometimes we don't even dare to ask. That's really important. Also about confidence. And the confidence is to try it. And if someone is really shy to try it, I really ask, okay, what could happen the worst? There is no end to the world. There is no death either if you fail. And there is no such failure. It's just a try which is not successful. So give that confidence and that kind of encouragement and empowerment to the client. They can try even one little step towards their goal. And that could be anything. We don't mind. I don't mind. And create your group of people who can support you, your sponsors. Create your own board of directors, because you are the CEO of your career. You're the chief executive officer, chief empowerment officer. And there is always room for improvement for everyone. And I also request that asking feedback is important. And I don't even call feedback. I call this feed forward. So if we ask for any return, for any, like, how was my presentation, for example, it's actually a feed forward for you because you learn how to improve. Even a conversation with a client, a conversation with your manager, that helps you to even improve step by step towards your goal. So it's all about encouraging. It's all about giving the client as well some tangible tools where they can scribble and make their thoughts of, and journaling. Journaling is really, really important. So it's not only about powerful questions, but also having that request to your client to journal. Success journal, gratefulness journal, that could be a little part of the journal, or an action journal. So we as coaches, as you know, are taking our clients always accountable. And these are some tips that I try always out with my clients, and that works very well.
A superb list. Thank you so much for sharing those with us. My final question for you, Hulya, before I flip over the coin and speak to Jane, is why did you decide to become accredited?
Because that gives you credibility in the marketplace. We know there's a lot of coaches out there, but to distinguish yourself from the crowd, it's important. And accreditation means that you're meeting the industry standards, and that's really important. And that's a call out to everyone else as well. If you decide to work with a coach, make sure that they have a diploma, not only a certificate. A certificate is not enough, in my opinion, and be also accredited by an accreditation body. And that's very, very important for the client, because I want to deliver high standard and excellent services to my clients. And when you're accredited, that's the proof that you deliver.
Thank you so much for your time, Hulya. I'm going to flip over the coin now and speak to your client, Jane. Jane, tell me about yourself.
Well, I've been actually working nearly 20 years and 10 years in the same company. And I came to the point where I was asking myself a lot of questions about my role, my contribution in my role. And I could feel some sense of unsatisfaction with the situation at work, and without really understanding what was the reason, what was the objective, where I was heading towards. I wanted to be accompanied by a coach to help me come back to the essence of who I am, what is it I am expecting, how can I build a professional future, a successful professional future. And this is how I engage with Hulya.
Brilliant. And why did you choose Hulya to be your coach?
Actually, I was recommended. I was talking with a friend, and I was recommended Hulya through a friend. I had been already started some coaching with in the past. I did have a couple of coaches, but I didn't feel that they were actually fitting exactly my expectation. I think that in a relation with a coach, there's also some kind, obviously there's the professionalism of the coach, there's also the personality, and there's also the connection with the person where you feel you can really engage on constructive discussion. And after the first session with Hulya, I immediately connected with her and really I could see myself building a really constructive discussion.
And how have you applied what you've learned through your coaching to your career?
I would say there is different phases in the coaching that are quite interesting. When we started discussing with Hulya about my role in the company and what were my expectations. And very quickly, we actually shifted towards my values, who I was, what did I expect about life. So a bit more like generic life-related question that basically helped mature my thinking about my professional life. And so instead of going deep dive into my professional ambitions, we came back very much to the essence of who am I, what am I expecting, what kind of work-life balance do I want, what are my values, what are my strengths beyond also work, in order to be able to start developing a conversation around work effectively. So it was quite interesting to come back to me as a human being, with my feelings, with my life situation, before we actually shifted into a more concrete conversation around management of my professional career. So why am I saying this? Because the attitude and the mindset has a lot to do in the way you are actually approaching a career change. And the first immediate impact was more about having a positive change, positive mindset at work, being able to step back a little bit, put a little bit the emotions aside, come back to the facts, in order to be able to approach all challenges at work with a little bit more of a constructive mindset. So that was with the current position. And then obviously, Hulya has given me a lot of tools to manage the transition, to understand how I was and how I should be selling myself on the marketplace, how to approach company, headhunters.
My final question for you is, what would you say to other career coaches based on your experience as a client?
I think what is very important is to find a person that fits you. And there's a lot of very good coaches on the marketplace. But I think there is this kind of personal connection that is extremely important with the person also, that you are speaking the same language, that you have the same mindset, that you can feel you can be really honest and open with the person. I think this is extremely important. And it does have to do with the professionalism and the experience of the coach itself, but there is a part of personal connection that is also very subjective to anyone. So stick to the person you feel you can be true to yourself when you're talking to this person, open, and you can build a very transparent and constructive relationship on the long term. I think the second tip is engage with your coach on a long-term relationship. And it can be 10 sessions, 20 sessions, 30 sessions. I think it's important that there is a minimum of time of engagement, because there is this first phase where you need to try to understand who you are and what it is exactly that you are looking for. When I reached out to Hulya, I was sure I wanted to change company and I wanted to be promoted to a bigger position. And as we were talking and discussing, there is a lot of other aspects in my research and all my questions that came into light in terms of the role that I want to occupy, what is my mission, and how I want to make a difference, which came out of several conversations. And the third tip is do some homework next to the coaching. I think it's very important to try, and it doesn't mean sitting at your desk and trying to write down your life and where you are. It can come from listening podcasts like this one. It can be through I read a lot of books around personal development. I try to engage in different ways to educate myself about personal development and to try and get to know better who I am, what am I expecting, where lie the opportunities, and all these inner reflection are very important and and enriching the conversation I have with my coach each time we talk to each other. So I think there is, in the process of being coach, don't expect that this person is going to answer all your questions. Actually, not. you need to come with the answers to your question. Your coach is here really to accompany you and to help you ask yourself the right question and answer to it. And there's not one perfect answer. And this is what the beauty of having a long-term relationship with your coach is, that really you mature your reflection, you mature your thinking, you mature your project, and you might end up, and Hulya was saying earlier, you might end up somewhere you didn't expect you would end up. But at the end, what is important is that you started the coaching because something was wrong. You could feel something was wrong. And you end up the coaching and saying you are in a better place.
What a great discussion. Thank you so much, Hulya and Jane. And if you would like to work with Hulya, then she can be contacted at inkick.com. We're confident that anyone who attains an international authority for professional coaching and mentoring accreditation will be among the very best that the profession has to offer. So if you're someone who's interested in having some coaching or mentoring and want to find an accredited coach, mentor, or training provider, or if you're a professional who's interested in becoming accredited, then please go to our website, coach-accreditation.services. And finally, if there's a topic that you would like me to cover on future episodes of Both Sides of the Coin, then I would love to hear from you. My email, jenny.podcast@coach-accreditation.services. Bye for now.